Youth owning the mic, youth leadership, identity, and impact in a changing world. Please make welcome Pauline to our virtual stage. You're welcome. Thank you.
Hey,
Right.
thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. It is truly an honor and a pleasure for the Council of Nigerian Professionals and especially Miss Lady Abba to have me speak before you all today under the theme as Owning the Mic, Youth Leadership Identity and Impact in a Changing World. Thank you once again for having me. When I think about this theme, I'm reminded that the mic is not just a piece of technology. So it's not something just tangible, but the mic represents a voice, a presence and influence. People are listening to you, and owning it means, being bold enough to speak as what we're doing today, what all of us are doing today. And, even when like our voice trembles and we're nervous, we're still very like courageous enough to stand and speak to you all today. And this is a very important part of leadership. And so I want to just start off with my story, just a little segment of my journey into leadership. I've had a lot of opportunities in leadership, but I want to just share a little story. So my journey into leadership began at Algoma University in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. So a very small town that was predominantly white at the time. It is now a very multicultural city. There, I became the very first Black female student union president, which was a big accomplishment and achievement there. And this position, it was filled with responsibility, but it also came with a lot of barriers. And as a president, I sat on like many meetings, boards, and spaces like, the University Senate, Board of Governors. And I was often like the only Black person in the room. And or the Black student in the room, I should say. Alongside other Black professors. And I quickly learned in those spaces that leadership wasn't just about holding this presidential title or just a title. It was about, using my voice to ask really hard questions. What am I going to do to impact, these professors and presidents and, MPs and counselors in the room? And I would ask questions like this, like, why aren't there better academic supports for students? Or how do we address food insecurity and housing challenges? Because these are real challenges that students face day to day on campus. And things like, how do we create spaces where international students feel welcome? And so, I internalized all of this. And if I had stayed silent as a president, nothing would have changed. And but by speaking up, working with my team, the vice presidents, other those who work with me, I discovered that, my voice could ripple outwards and it encouraged a lot of others to do the same. And this kind of segues into like with all of this, leadership that I had to do, challenges as a Black woman leader came as well. And let me be real, it just wasn't easy. For those 4 years, it was not easy. As a woman, I faced, people questioning if I was smart enough, to lead or capable enough to make very tough decisions. And as a Black woman in in a city with Indigenous people, First Nations communities, being able to learn what it means to build a relationship and work in partnership together. Those were challenges too, but I learned so much from that as to how, and that's why I feel, me working for Indigenous Services Canada, working as, a leader and learning how to work in partnership with First Nations peoples of this land, built me for this. Also, this is probably not new to a lot of you who are a person of color. I faced racism, seeing hateful posters and negative media articles, like people making comments around accomplishments that I did. And I had hosted an event called Good Hair, Bad Hair, just to spark a dialogue on Black identity in Canada and what that means for us when we work in corporate spaces, like in academic spaces, and how we look and how we present ourselves and how people look at us and say, if you have in braids or if my brother has braids or sister has braids, what does that mean? The perception that it gives. And I wanted to, eliminate that stigma on us. So I had brought, a speaker to come and speak on that. And I had a lot of um, backlash about that. And I remember thinking, my safety is on the line, but also a responsibility. Because if I had just chose again silence, then the young Black students coming after me would inherit that same silence. And I didn't want that. And so, leadership meant to me taking risks and not just for myself. It's not about you. It's about the community that I represented. And that community was Black students, Black people, international students, you know, and just students in general. But to be on a more positive light as well, I want to speak about a legacy that I had implemented at the university. And one of those legacies that I'm really proud of is founding Algoma University's first ever Black graduation ceremony, something that I had envisioned and taken from U of T's Black graduation. And this was just more than a celebration. It was about a recognition, recognition for Black students who endured struggles, sacrificed, and often felt unseen, recognition for our families, and communities who needed to witness our achievements, our hard work. When students came back to me and said, "Thank you for giving us a space to celebrate who we are and what we've accomplished," I knew that this work mattered and that it brought an impact on our people. And that graduation continues today, 7 years later. And it reminds me that, true leadership is not just about personal accolades and what you achieve by yourself. It is about creating structures that can outlive you. So what's next? What are you leaving behind? And that kind of leads me into identity and leading authentically. What does that mean? Um, Leadership also taught me the importance of identity and who you are matters. And in every space, whether it be corporate, social space, political, personal, it's important for us to remain our authentic selves. And for me, that means being unapologetically Black, a Black woman, a Christian, and an advocate for fairness, equality, and inclusion. And my faith grounds me a lot and reminds me that lasting change doesn't happen without God. And I always put God first in everything that I do. And my identity reminds me also that I don't need to fit into the mold or to what society wants me to be or of how I should lead. I think I lead best personally when I am fully myself. And so this is also, something that I want to share with you that when you are going into leadership or a leader, be yourself. You don't need to emulate anybody because people want to know who you are. And think, when we talk about youth impact now, being a leader, how do we as youth, how can we create change? And I think this is an important topic because there's so many ways that youth can do this. And um, how do we, as youth, own the mic and impact our communities in a changing world like this? And, I wanted to share three key ways, that I came up with. One being use your voice courageously. Don't wait for permission to speak truth to power or to anything. I think if you see injustice, call it out. If you see the need, advocate for it. Your silence will never serve you only, but your voice might serve generations, those after you. Again, not only thinking about yourself, but those who are coming before, like after you. The second one would be, create spaces that don't yet exist. So what does that mean? That means if you can't find a table, build one. I say the statement all the time in a lot of my speeches. If you don't find yourself somewhere or you need a program, if you see a program that doesn't reflect your community or your needs, create it yourself. Gather your friends, gather your group, those who are like-minded, and do something about it. Um, Innovation often starts with one person, who dares to say, "We need this. Let's get it done. Let's create it." And then the last one would be lead with identity and integrity. And I think this is the most important one for me. The world or society or wherever you are will try to probably like sometimes tell you who to be. Um, but the greatest impact for me happens when you're just yourself, when you're authentic. And people, they won't always follow perfection. No one's perfect, right? We all make mistakes, but they follow integrity and truth. When you're honest, when you have intention, when you show honesty, people will gravitate to you. People would rather that because you're real and you're being yourself. And so, as I close, I just, want to say leadership to me. it's not about, being in the spotlight or being the loudest in the room. You will be in the spotlight, but that's not what it's all about. It's about, being the most intentional. What's your purpose? What are your goals? Why are you doing this? Your why. And it's about standing in your identity, so who you are, and using your voice, for those who cannot yet speak. Um, and sometimes, creating impact that lasts beyond your time. So be like beyond your time as a leader or in the spotlight. Again, what have you done that will impact generations to come or your community? And so one thing I want to leave with everybody is, I challenge all of us here today really to own that mic. Don't just like drop it or pass it away to somebody else. And don't stay silent, because when you own it, you don't just tell your own story, but you also are creating a space for others to tell theirs. So that's what that's all I had to say for today. And I hope that resonated with a lot of you. Thank you so much.
Wow, 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 wow. I don't know if you can see my note, but my note is full already.
Oh, wow. Oh, thanks, Tayo.
Wow. I think it was Oscar Wilde, the famous Irish poet, that said, be yourself because every other person is taken. You know,
That's right.
if you want to be somebody else, the best you can be is a second version of that person, but you're
Exactly.
authentic, you're unique, so just be yourself. You're
That's
wonderfully
right.
and beautifully made. I find
Yes.
your speech extremely inspiring, and I noted those three key points you talked about. Use your voice correctly, create spaces that don't yet exist, and if there is
Mhm.
no table, build your table, bring it. Oh, there's no seat at the table. Why don't you
That's
build
right.
your seat, build your table, gather people with like minds, and bring everybody together? And you said lead with identity and integrity. And I thought that
Yes,
coming from
absolutely.
yeah, coming from you, from a youth, a much younger person, I there is hope. There's hope that integrity is still something we still value so much, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you so
Um,
much.
yes, so questions. Aha, I see questions for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, somebody says, great youth leader, Pauline. Thank you. Your work continues. Stacey Abrams talked about navigating a similar leadership space in which she was a young Black woman in a predominantly white male space, and how she learned a great deal from some very unexpected politicians. How
Mm,
did you navigate the space to be impactful? And did you get some unexpected mentors too?
okay. So how did I get in that space to be impactful, right?
Yeah. How did you navigate that space?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Well, first of all, I prayed a lot. So just for everyone, I'm a Christian and a woman of faith. I prayed a lot because being a woman already and then being a Black woman in a space like this was very tough. And I really needed to, be able to show strength, but still be myself and not try to come off as, someone who knows it all. But what I did was I had mentors. Like the question, like you said, I had mentors. I went to them before I went into those spaces. I would tell them, this is how this is meeting is going to be designed. How do I, speak in front of these men like this, or even women or people who have much more accolades than I do? I really use mentors to do that. And they weren't always Black mentors, right? It does, the skin tone doesn't really matter. It's those who advocate for you, who want to be there for you, who want to help you and support you. So I would recommend to have a mentor, to have someone that you trust and someone that would give you good advice before, stepping into spaces like that, because it could be really scary and very nerve-wracking. And like I had said earlier in my speech, your voice may tremble, as a leader when you're speaking in these spaces, but once you're prepared and you feel confident, and you've spoken to someone, I feel like it's just much easier when you're in a space like that. So that would be my response to your question. Thank you so
Abs
much for your question.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Do it trembling, do it shivering, do it shaking, but don't stop moving. Just keep
Yes,
doing it. Because
that's right.
the more you do it, the more your confidence would people will see it, right? And then you do it once, you do
That's
it
right.
twice, it starts to become second nature. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Like there's a lot in the chat. You need
No.
to go read the chat. You need to go
Oh,
read
wow.
the chat.
Okay.
There's a lot of comments, a lot of love going on in there for you. Like this is a good time to actually take a break. Thank you so much, Pauline. Um this
Okay.
this
No problem.
this
Thank you,
was
everybody.
very good.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Okay, before
Okay.
we go on
All
break,
right.
I
Take
would
care,
like
everyone.
to, yeah, thank you. I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors, our partners, and I will just quickly roll through them. We have the Government of Canada. This event was partly funded by them. We have Laborers International Union of North America. Luna, thank you. We used it all, and we've used it for like 2 or 3 times now. And we also have some small businesses. RCCG, the House of David Milton, Abiola Idowu Arts, the Elsion Days International Church, ABBA Digital Studio, Wisdom Minds Cooperative, C&G Professional Services, Inc., Zuzlan Properties Limited, M. Mortgageville, Jane Ecker, Folake African Foods Brampton, Moms Zobo Brampton, Suya Daddy, Omoba Incorporated, and we also have African Caribbean Council of Alton, Lady Abba, Grandmother's Voices, Alliance Creative Community Events, Israel Ines King Nanayo Osam One, C Center, the Care Foundation, Black Business Admitting, United Colors of Fashion, I think that's New Brunswick, ACAO, Ottawa, and Neuro. Thank you so much for your partnership, and thank you for your sponsorship. Thank you for your support. We will take a break now, and then I think this is half an hour break. I think we are back at 4:30. Lady Abba, can you confirm that, please? I think we are back at 4:30. Yeah, we are back at 4:30. I just checked. So thank you everyone. Time to stretch, grab some meal, and then invite a friend, share the link with them. We'll be back at 4:30, and then would have Baba take over for the time being. Thank you.